A new article out in Daily Beast is from a guy who made up a name, Clayton Jenkins, because he doesn't want you to find out who he is, because he's actually training to be a cop. He said it's in a northern red state, and he wanted to be able to report on what the training was like. And so that's why he doesn't want to be exposed. But he did tell us what was happening. And he wrote that the people training him were saying that the Obama administration, Eric Holder, are undermining the police. We have officers dying left and right, and he's dicking off in Alaska. I'm talking about how Obama went to Alaska. Apparently that's when they were being trained. So he goes on to explain that, again, the cops who are training the new recruits tell them that they got to watch out for activists like the Black Lives Matter activists and that they're a real threat. Now, ironically, of course, that's going to lead to possibly more abuse from the cops when they encounter African-American citizens. But hey, they got to act because cops are dying left and right. So let's look into that, see if that's true. In fact, a lot of Americans do believe that. And a new Rasmussen poll says, is there a war on police in America today? 58% say yes. 27% say no. Now, Rasmussen is a conservative-leaning polling organization. Still, those numbers are a little stunning. They also say that 60% in that same poll believe comments critical of the police by some politicians make it more dangerous for police officers to do their jobs. Now, we'll look into whether that's true in a second, but first, I want to give you a sense of where they got this idea in the first place. Obviously, we've shown you many clips on Fox News where they are saying, oh, the Black Lives Matter, there's a hate group, and they're coming after the cops, and there's a war on cops. But it's not just the pundits, it's also Republican politicians like Scott Walker, and he was doing it again this weekend on the air. Watch.
Can you elaborate on how President Obama has played a role in the murder of police officers?
I think his absence of leadership, of speaking out on this issue, but we need a president who first and foremost says that law enforcement professionals across this country are doing the job. We need them to keep us safe. We need to have their back, and he has been silent on this, and that's an outrage.
That's also not true. President Obama was not silent at all on it. Jake Tapper, in fact, is going to challenge Scott Walker on that.
I have heard President Obama praise police officers, but I'm assuming you're saying he's not doing it enough.
He's praised them, but he's not speaking out about the fact that there's rhetoric out there. I mean, when you've got people say, pigs in a blanket at a rally, fry them up like bacon, that's the kind of thing you need to speak out about. You need to say that is wrong.
You need to speak out against pigs in a blanket. They are too delicious. Those little things, they're hot dogs, but wrapped around in a pastry. Who thought of that? That's genius. And Obama's not saying it enough. Okay, perhaps that's not what he meant. Okay, so these are the guys who are demagoguing on the issue. Oh, Obama praised cops. Obama mourned the loss of police officers' lives. But not enough, not enough. He had to come out specifically against one chant on one day for about 20 seconds. By the way, later reporting showed that they were kidding around with the cops that were at that protest. Oops. Oh my God, fry them like bacon. These are the people responsible for all the murders of the police officers, and that is why that war on cops is so strong right now, and all those officers are being killed at a record pace, right? Wrong. Now let me give you the actual facts. Police shooting deaths are actually down 26% this year, though compared to the same period last year, according to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund. Well, okay, now you say they're down from last year, but that's probably because Obama was in office last year, and last year they were at a record high, so of course they came down a little bit, right? No, not exactly. Let me give you more data. According to data available, again, from the Officer Down Memorial page, people who are very motivated to get this right and who care a lot about this issue, on the annual number of non-accidental firearm-related police fatalities. These are cops being shot. 2015 is on track to be the safest year for law enforcement in the U.S. since 1887, except for a slightly safer year in 2013, where President Obama was also president. Okay, we're not done yet. And adjusted for the country's growing population, the years 2013 and 2015 will be the two safest years for police in United States history. Now you see that? All that big bluster from the Republican candidates and Fox News, war on cops, war on cops. Total invention. Just like their invention of the war on Christmas, based on absolutely nothing. When you look at the actual data, as always, we're right, they're wrong. It's the safest it's ever been for cops. Here, let me show you a chart of violence against cops to give you a sense of scale here. Now, these are just raw numbers. So again, there's a much lower population back in the day than there is today. So if you did it per capita, this would be even more stark. Now, you see the police, the violence against police plummeting now, plummeting, right? Not only that, I want you to draw attention to one other thing here. When was it sky high? Oh yeah, in the 20s and early 30s, when did we have, oh right, that's when we had our war on alcohol, prohibition. And when we had a war on alcohol, a lot of cops got killed because people sold alcohol anyway, because people love to drink. By the way, in 1971, Nixon declares a war on drugs. And what happens? That war on drugs is nonsense, ridiculous. Cop shootings spike up because it creates crime and gangs that didn't need to be there. Now, luckily, we've beaten that back. But I need you to know the real facts and not the BS propaganda that Fox News and the Republicans feed you. There is no war on cops. No shooting has ever been tied to any activist at all. The shootings are all done by crazy people that have no ties to any group that is protesting against cops. It's not wrong to point out police brutality. It is way past time to discuss police brutality, and that discussion, it turns out, does not lead to more violence against cops, because violence against cops is at a record low. Those are the real facts.